Interest, the speculation in the media on Telkom. And it's true that the golden share that government possessed over the last 8 years will expire on the 4th of March. And we don't have any intention as government to retain all of the rights of the golden shares. But there are certain specific rights that we consider important to retain, and we are currently in dialogue with Telkom on this matter and with the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Now, why do we want to do this? We want to do this because we still consider it very significant that government retains the shareholding it has in Telkom. And we don't think Telkom is a parastatal. We don't treat it as a parastatal. It's a listed company, of which we have 39% interest in it, and the PIC has about 11. So together, government, you could say, has 51% interest and a controlling share. Now, we think it's important because it's about the only instrument we have in the telco sector for governments to be able to utilize to ensure that its policy objectives are being met. And there are critically important areas that we want to do, and there's work still to do. Firstly, we have to bring connectivity to the rural areas, because there are still two vast sections of the country that are unconnected. Secondly, it's vitally important that we accelerate the implementation of broadband in this country, and we think Telkom can play a crucially important role in that. The third one is that Telkom is critically important because of the security of our communications infrastructure. So in those three arenas, it is clear to us that we cannot just dislodge Telkom into a company that will be driven by just private shareholders. So the balance between the commercial interests of shareholders and the developmental priorities of the state is a tension that always operates in Telkom, and for that reason it's important that we retain it.
And obviously a very strategic asset for you. One of the criticisms by the industry has been that Telkom, and the fact that it hasn't been so successful over the past few years with various projects that it's undertaken, is a management issue. And one of the reasons that management has been an issue is because of a lot of government intervention. And you're talking about a fine balance and striking a balance between government's role and the commercial corporate role. How do you plan to achieve this going forward, and seeing the success of Telkom, because a lot of people are concerned as to what fate lies ahead for the fixed line operator who has just launched a mobile offering as well?
Well, I don't necessarily accept the view that Telkom's failings are as a result of government intervention. I think it's largely in the perceptions of commentators that make that. Certainly, government has appointed 5 directors who are there to represent its interests, and and if you look for some of the problems in Telkom, it lies really somewhere else.
And where does it
and
lie
outside.
there for you?
I think that we need to do far more better in making sure that the executive layer of leadership in Telkom works a bit more better with the board. And that's a critically important connection. Personally, I think that there has been far too much latitude given to the executive leadership on how to run Telkom. And one needs much more strategic direction from the board. And so we are busy discussing that. As you know, the slate of directors that we've recently appointed has had a change in leadership. We've appointed Mr. Lazarus Zim, we think is a very competent businessman and experienced in this particular sector, and come with exceptionally good credentials. And he would make an excellent chairman. We've retained Mr. Jeff Molabela for his experience, and indeed 2 of the directors that have been previously on the board. So we've got the kind of continuity on the leadership that we're happy with, and we've introduced an interesting personality in the person of Mr. Naveen Kapila, who has got something like about an experience over 30 years in the telecom business in emerging markets, and who is very well in tune to the right kind of investment decisions and works very closely as an advisor to the International Telecommunications Union. So we think we've got a very good team.
Tell us about local loop unbundling at this point. We know you've got a deadline for November this year. A lot of concerns about the impact that local loop unbundling will have on the industry, whether it is going to create more competition. I know that you've also been talking about the model that is going to be brought forward with regards to this and the role that Telkom could perhaps play. Could you add some insight into that? I'm sure that you've also been playing out various scenarios as to how this is going to work.
Well, I think that the telecom space is something you must watch very carefully. There could be some very interesting developments going forward. On the local loop unbundling thing, the regulator tells me that they're very much on track with the project to unbundle the local loop by November. I can only go by what they say because it's their program of work. But the matter that's under debate right now is the nature of the model of unbundling that we want to follow. There might be some interesting things that come out of that.